Are you serious? Are you serious? The French defense chief is asking Russia to now step up its anti-ISIS operations. Ahead of his visit to Moscow today, the French defense minister told journalists in Paris that he was going to ask the Russians to increase their action against the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, ISIS, and would offer intelligence sharing and plans for a joint vision on combating the terrorist groups in Syria. French Defense Minister Jean Le Drian heads for Moscow this Monday in pursuit of enhanced collaboration between France and Russia to combat Islamic State on the Syrian soil. His main goal is to ask Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu to increase the strikes against ISIS. Quote, "We will discuss what we consider to be terrorist groups and how Russia might increase its action against ISIS, which is our sole enemy. Despite other Western countries being slow to join the efforts with Russia in supporting and suppressing the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria militants, Paris is showing signs of a far more pragmatic approach towards combating the international terrorism." Also, he told journalists he would offer the Russian military an intelligence sharing framework to exchange information on Russia, as well as French speakers in ISIS, which could be useful for both sides. The minister stressed France is ready to act responsibly in sharing intelligence that requires giving on both sides. Now, French and Russian defense chiefs will also discuss measures to prevent dangerous incidences in the Syrian airspace between the two countries whose warplanes are fighting ISIS together. The French defense minister's trip comes from President François Hollande, his visit to Moscow back in November in wake of the Paris terror attack that killed 130 people and injured 351. Just a horrific event. Hollande talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin resulted in a joint declaration to intensify the strikes against ISIS and to coordinate military efforts in and around Syria. It's amazing to me that ISIS, everybody in the world knows that ISIS is literally the greatest cancer on this planet. And yet the Russians are in Syria, but they're fighting the Free Syrian Army for the most part. Turkey is in Syria, but they're bombing the Kurds. The United States is in Syria and have been for a year and a half, yet proves to be impotent and ineffective with the military strategy that the Obama administration has put forth. Thus, ISIS, instead of getting pushed back, are actually gaining more ground. And though the president says they're a JV team, and though the president says that ISIS is shrinking, and even though the president says ISIS is contained, their terror network is spreading not only across Iraq and Syria, but now throughout the Middle East and in Europe and remnants in San Bernardino, California and beyond, folks. So why can't they all get together and wipe ISIS out? Why is it? Because there's too many agendas. The United States wants Assad out of power, so they spend their time trying to prop up the Free Syrian Army. Russia wants Assad to remain in power, so they spend too much of their time fighting the Free Syrian Army. And Turkey says they want ISIS down, but Turkey's buying the oil from ISIS and would rather spend their time attacking the Kurds. And Israel, they're just trying to keep their borders safe, so they go and attack Hezbollah in Damascus. So this is what's going on. There are all these different agendas, yet everybody's saying they all want to get rid of ISIS, yet nobody's going after ISIS. Folks, this is like a chaotic scene. It's truly chaos. France wants to go after ISIS, but they have to ask for permission to fly into the airspace from the Russians, since it's the Russians that control the airspace. The United States did, but they gave it up. The Obama administration's defense foreign policy plan is a disaster. And that's really the honest truth. So pray for the poor and pitiful, innocent civilian people who are still in Syria and in Iraq, as they are the victims here. And many, many thousands of Christians have already been executed, raped, beheaded, and crucified. And nobody, and I mean nobody, has really come to their rescue. This is Pastor Paul Begley reporting on what's really going on. And this is all prophesied in the Bible. And actually, the destruction of Damascus is in Isaiah 17:1 and in Jeremiah 49:23-27. And we're witnessing the chaos and the rise of the beast, a new world order to get rid of the disorder. And it's coming. A new world order is coming. Are you saved? Give your life to Jesus Christ. We are living, folks, without question in the last days. And Christ is coming. But will you be ready, or will you be left behind?